Hello and welcome to Tough Pigs at 20, a Muppet fan podcast from ToughPigs.com. This is the series where we're looking back on the past 2 decades of the website for Muppet fans who grew up, featuring interviews with the writers and artists who helped make it happen. Our guest today joined the Tough Pigs team in 2012, having authored over 60 articles. She is our resident expert on the art of slam poetry, gender politics, and the great Gonzo. We are extremely proud to welcome Julia Gaskill to the podcast. Hello, Julia.
Hello, that's me. Hi, Joe.
That's you. Hi. You've done so much for us, and those are the topics. Those are the 3 things.
I have. That's funny because those are definitely the 3 things I clocked when I was going through my articles last night. So, yeah, that's what I bring to the table, the Tough Pigs table.
I'm so sorry to put a label on you, but yes, that is how we define basically what you've done for us for the past 9 years.
It's all good. It's all true. So, I can't fault you.
Yes, no slander. All right, so first things first. Everyone has been writing to us. All of our listeners have been saying, we got to know, how did Julia join Tough Pigs?
How did I join Tough Pigs? So I kind of tried to go through the forum the other day to try to figure out when I first posted, and I couldn't figure out how to go past like 30 days, and so I couldn't figure that out. But I think I joined sometime, I want to say December of 2011. I think I joined after the movie had come out in theaters. And before Tough Pigs, I was on another Muppet forum that I don't know if I should name.
Oh, you could say it. We've said it before.
I was on Muppet Central for probably about like a little less than a year. And like, no disrespect to Muppet Central, but I didn't really ever feel part of a community there. It just, I don't know. I definitely made a couple friends who I still am friends with to this day, but, I would check it because I got into the Muppets and I really wanted to find other people to connect with, but I didn't feel like I really connected with that many people there. And I think I knew about Tough Pigs, but I don't know why I didn't check it out sooner. I think maybe just because I had landed on one and I was like, well, I'm just gonna make this one work. And then I think I kind of like started checking out y'all's like articles and stuff, and I was like, oh, these guys are funny, and they write about all these different topics, and like, they report the news of what's going on with the Muppets, but also like, they'll do joke articles, they'll do listicles, they'll do all these different like kinds of things highlighting, fan art and things. And I was like, well, they seem pretty cool, so I think I'm gonna check out the forum. And yeah, I don't know if I jumped on the forum, in December or January, and I remember you guys were all very welcoming right off the bat, because I had done a slam poem that made its way on, I think I did a couple different versions of it that was on YouTube. It's a very old poem. It's still on there. It's called Where the Fraggles Roam. It rhymes a lot, which I don't typically do in my poetry anymore. But I remember I got on the forums and I introduced myself, and I think I like mentioned the poem because I was like, I want these people to know that I like the Muppets a lot. And then everyone was like, oh yeah, we've seen this and we were wondering why we'd never met you before.
Yeah, it seemed like natural. Like whoever did this thing is one of us. we just knew. I did look up to see when Where the Fraggles Roam was posted. You posted that in November of 2011. So I feel like it was like, I mean, you're spot on when you say December 2011, if not sooner.
Okay.
Is when we found you or you found us or both at the same time. But yes, that made a big mark on people because there's something about that. I don't know if I'd say it's our signature style of commentary, but like basically like that adult Muppet fandom that like we just spot each other across a room.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we gotta be friends like forever, like legit forever.
Yeah, no, definitely. Y'all were just so warm and welcoming right off the bat, and I definitely felt that sense of community, and it was very enticing. And I was like, well, I think I'm gonna stick with this one, and I have over the years. I'm
so glad you did.
Yeah.
So speaking of back through the years, let's go back in time to June 4th, 2012. Do you recall what your very first article was for Tough Pigs?
I do, which I mean, I remembered what it was before I looked last night, but the official title of it is Steve's Hair, The Journey of a Muppeteer's Hair.
Close. It's Steve's Hair, The Journey of a Muppeteer's Head of Hair.
Oh, head of hair, excuse me. Wrote the wrong thing down, missed the one word. Yes, I had written, I think I wrote a shorter version of it on Tumblr, it was just a tiny rant. And I think I don't know if I shared it on ToughPigs or I showed it to you, or I don't remember exactly, because you were the one that was like, hey, do you want to write an article for ToughPigs about this, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that, because I know I had already written something kind of along those lines on, I think, on my Tumblr, and then I ended up really expanding on it and diving deep and being very wordy, which is the thing I typically am in my articles, is I tend to write a lot. And yeah, I remember being so excited when I wrote that article. I remember bringing my laptop to my college classes and working on it in the back of the classroom. And then I knew what day it was going to go up after I had sent it to you. And I remember sitting at home and being like, oh, it's going to go online and I can share it and it's going to be wonderful. And I was so psyched. It was such a good feeling.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And also, Steve Whitmire's hair is such an interesting topic of conversation. I'm glad that that was one of those things where I remember, I don't remember the exact order of events, but yes, I probably saw your Tumblr, or you mentioned on the forum or whatever it was, and thinking yes, why haven't we written about this? Someone has to, and you obviously feel passionate about that, so please, we need it.
It's just, his hair has been so distinct over the years in its different styles. And yeah, I didn't go back and read the piece, but I remember just thinking way too hard about what does this hair symbolize for each decade for him?
Yeah.
And it's ultimately very silly, but I remember it being a lot of fun to write. And I think ultimately the pieces I've written for ToughPigs, that I like everything I've pretty much written for ToughPigs, but I think the ones where I do get to kind of be silly or read way too deep into a thing that, most people wouldn't, is kind of when I have the most fun, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about some of those articles that you've written. So I made a list, but I know that you said that you've revisited your bibliography on ToughPigs a bit. So now that you've done that, do you have any favorite articles looking back that you've written?
I mean, I feel like the one that goes without saying, that's probably, I think, the best thing I've ever written for ToughPigs is Everyone Should Date a Gonzo. I also have no idea how I came up with that idea. I'm sure I was just thinking about the character of Gonzo a lot, and then I just went with it, where I took Gonzo and I took all of his personality traits, and I basically summed up why, if you date somebody who has similarities to Gonzo, they would make it an amazing partner. And then in the end, I think I start to expound on other character traits from other Muppet characters. But it's a thing that it's pretty silly on the surface, but at the same time, that one I think does end up having a little bit more depth, where it's just a really kind of a character analysis of the character of Gonzo, and then just relating it to, I don't know, people's dating lives. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you also just described Gonzo, something that is very silly on the outside, and yet, if you look closely enough, it has a lot of depth. He's
a very sensitive character, there is a lot of layers to Gonzo that we've seen over the years, and, it was, I think I wrote that piece sometime in the first couple years I was on ToughPigs. I don't have the date in front of me.
Yeah, that was early on. Yeah, I don't either, but yes, that was one of your earlier ones, and again, it seemed like that was something that you had been thinking about for a long time at the time, just because it seemed to have poured out of you.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I most likely was. I think I spent a good long time writing that piece. And yeah, that one is definitely stuck with me over the years. And I know I've shared it with people before, who expressed their interest in Muppets to me, and they want to read things I've written for ToughPigs, and I'm like, well, here's this one, because it's one that I'm very proud of.
Yeah, it's also really accessible. And I know sometimes just as a site, on the site as a whole, we publish things that you got to be kind of a mega fan to really understand what we're saying, or to get the joke, or whatever it is. But that one's no. Do you know who Gonzo is? Do you know what dating is? Then you're caught up.
It's one that I think anybody could get on board with.
For sure. You have written. I didn't notice that this was a series. I guess that you had been working on over the years, but you've written several defenses of Christmas movies over the years. Have you noticed this pattern?
No, I know that I wrote the defense of Letters to Santa because I do enjoy that one when I know a lot of people don't. What are the other defenses I've done?
You wrote one about A Christmas Together with John Denver. You wrote one about It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie.
Those ones I don't think are aren't those ones where it's me and my partner Steven sitting down and watching them together? So I guess in a way I'm defending them because I'm watching them with him and he's poking fun at them because they maybe don't hold up over time, and then I'm like, no, it's great.
It's Muppets. It's Christmas.
I do want to go on record saying that I don't think I've ever defended It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. I think I have been very explicit in saying it is one of my 2 least favorite Muppet productions.
Well, and then you wrote a second article about Letters to Santa, which I think was another one that you watched with Steven. But yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that was So that's been a series that I've done for the last couple Christmases. Because we always try to put some stuff out around Christmas. And I'm like, well, what if I just watch a movie or a special my boyfriend has never seen before, and I record, and then I transcribe it, and there's sometimes some funny things that are said.
Yes. Well, I look forward to seeing what Christmas rabbit hole you fall down this upcoming season.
I think it might be Mr. Willoughby's Christmas Tree.
Oh, no.
I haven't watched since I was 10, and I liked it when I was a kid, but it's been it's probably been over 2 decades since I last watched it, so.
We've probably written, I don't know, maybe at least 3 or 4 reviews of that special over the years. I feel like we could do it every Christmas. It's that bad, it's that hysterical.
And it's one that people forget about, and I feel like it's worth reminding people that it exists, because it's got Robert Downey Jr. in it.
Yeah, friggin' Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oof, wow, was it bad. All right, so we'll look forward to that this December.
Cool.
I'm excited. So you and I have worked together a bit on some Women's History Month related articles. And by you and I working together, I mean more like you writing and researching and me kind of from the editorial saying we need, more diverse voices and you have these great ideas. Some of my favorites that you've written include a closer look at Sesame Street's Women Can Be, which if people don't know that song, they should. It's a great number, and you wrote a little introspective about it. You've written about some of the women behind the scenes with Muppets and Henson, and you've written a few articles basically telling Disney that they need to do better with their female representation. Yeah,
because I posted. Or I shared one of those earlier this year. I think I wrote one for Women's History Month when I was like, hey, Disney, here are 3 things you could do that would make the representation of women better. And then when I was going through the articles I had written last night, I basically kind of wrote the same article back in 2018, which I don't remember doing. And I don't think, it's not word for word the same. In the newer one that I wrote, I definitely focused a bit more on promoting people like Julianne Buescher to maybe be a more core Muppeteer. That would be great. But I wrote one 2018. I spend a lot more time also focusing on how Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock are pretty, especially Sesame Street, are pretty great about including women on screen and behind the scenes. Whereas I love the Muppets, but they have a ways to go when it comes to, I would say, representation in several departments, but especially when it comes to women.
Yeah, and you say you've written that same article twice, but the truth is that we could write that article once every few months and just continue to publish it on ToughPigs over and over and over again because the problem's not getting solved, and it kind of needs to be, and we're the only ones who are really sitting here calling them out. So let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I agree. And I know I've written quite a bit about the being a woman, and then looking to see myself reflected in the Muppets. It's I remember I watched when we were doing the review of all of the Muppet Show episodes. I can't remember which one it was, but I ended up having the one where Miss Piggy's weight is the entire, like, plot of the episode. She just keeps getting made fun of. It's the episode where she steps on the scale and it breaks.
Yeah, that could have been one of like a dozen episodes, unfortunately. Yeah.
And I remember, like, writing a lot about, like, you know, how, like, making fat women, like, the butt of the joke is not great in this day and age. And obviously, you know, back in the day it was different, but at the same time it was still mean back in the day.
Sure.
And yeah, and I also wrote, like, the other one earlier this year about because, like, the whole cancel culture with, like, or the Pepe Le Pew thing, and then people were like, well, if we're canceling the Looney Tunes, we should also cancel Miss Piggy because it's the same thing. And I took it and ran with it because I was like, hey, I know that you're joking, but also let's look at why it's definitely not the same thing and actually how she has grown over the years. But at the same time, then I came back like a month or two later and I was like, yeah, she's grown, but maybe there's also other things we could do with Miss Piggy. And also maybe we could create some more female characters.
Right. It would not be nearly as glaring if Miss Piggy was one of, you know, a dozen, even a half dozen female characters.
Sure. Yeah. I think I mentioned that in one of the pieces where it's like, you know, if her being kind of a one-note character where she's just, you know, very vain and self-centered, it would be totally fine if she was surrounded by a lot of other female characters. We don't care that Lou Zealand's only characteristic is that he loves throwing his fish because there's so many other male Muppets to focus on. So and I also recognize with, like, you know, the Muppets don't have a ton of projects coming out, and so it makes it harder when they do have, like, one project come out to introduce a ton of new characters. It would be better, obviously, if they had more things coming out. They could kind of cycle in newer characters a little easier. So I am, like, a little sympathetic to that. But we've seen the creation of new characters in the last, like, decade, and it'd be nice if more of them were women.
Well, yeah, we just need to keep the ball rolling, you know? I mean, I don't know if Beverly Plume has a whole lot of, you know...
I would love to see more of Beverly Plume, you know?
Well, right. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I don't know if she's the greatest character in the world, but, like, let's put her in a couple new situations, you know, new scenarios, just, and, you know, see if Julianne Boucher can, you know, spin gold out of that. Because I think she can. She did with Yolanda, you know.
Oh, she's done such great work with Yolanda. Yeah. I think that Julianne's great.
She is great, yeah.
I hope to see so much more of her with the Muppets. Yeah.
Someone promote her.
Yeah.
Come on.
Just give her a raise.
Yeah. Just equal billing, equal pay. I mean, good Lord. I mean, it's like women's soccer over here.
Yeah, it's very similar.
So I noticed that there's also a recurring, not a series, but a recurring theme throughout the years that you've enjoyed revisiting the world of Fraggle Rock a lot. Mm-hmm. Would you consider yourself a big Fraggle fan?
I would. I don't think I'm the biggest Fraggle fan when we come to, like, the ToughPigs community and who really love Fraggle Rock, but I do thoroughly enjoy it. It's actually funny because it's been almost a decade since I last watched it. I might be working on a certain other Fraggle project right now, but
tease.
Maybe y'all will find out sometime in the next couple months. But so I have started actually going back through Fraggle Rock, and it's been very delightful. I mean, I haven't watched the show in forever, but I still have a lot of the music, like, on my phone, and I'll listen to the music in that show is so amazing.
It really is. I've always wanted to record the audio, like somehow rip the audio off of the DVDs and then, like, literally chop it up so that I could have, like, really good quality versions of the songs. Because it kills me that the only commercially released songs are the ones that came out on records, like, back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I've asked the Henson Company, you know, if they still have the masters, and they're like, we don't. I mean, they might be somewhere, but we just don't have them to make new albums. And yeah, almost every one of those songs is they're just gold.
Yeah, they're really good. And I think I wrote a ton about Fraggle Rock, especially early on with ToughPigs, because, you know, when I came to ToughPigs, I was already familiar with the vast majority of Muppet things. There were, like, some specials, and I'd never seen Muppets Take Manhattan until, like, I think early in 2011, so that one was pretty new to me at the time. But I was already familiar with a lot of Muppet stuff, but Fraggle Rock I had never watched, and so I went through all of it. I think I think also back in 2011 and then again in, I think, 2012. And so it was really fresh for me at the time, and I was really excited to discuss it more in depth. And so I think that probably influenced me writing a lot about it. Yeah.
Yeah. We could definitely do for some new Fraggle content on the old Tough Pigs. So here we are, you and I, we're talking on this podcast. This is far from your first time on a podcast. You created a podcast for us, our Tough Pigs' very first podcast.
Oh, I didn't know we were going to talk about this. I did.
Heck yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I did. I think, was it Tough Pigs' first podcast, technically?
It was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was back in the day before podcasts, like, really hit their peak.
We had no idea what we were doing.
Oh my God. Joe, Laura and I didn't know what the heck we were doing.
No, well, first of all, let's explain what the podcast was.
Okay.
So it was called Frog Kissin'. Mm-hmm. And how would you describe what the contents of Frog Kissin' was?
Well, I mean, essentially it was me and Laura Frazier. We just really wanted to do a podcast, honestly, where we would talk about the Muppets. But our take on it was like that it was just two women talking about the Muppets. Because, in a lot of fan content for the Muppets, it is pretty male-dominated, which is fair. It's kind of how it goes for a lot of fandoms in general. But, Laura and I wanted to talk on the Muppets and have it be from a more female perspective. And so that was kind of the way that we thought we would tackle it. Was just, ultimately it was just two friends talking and, fangirling over puppets, but
right.
But that was, I think, the thing that we really kind of also wanted to hone in on was that, I think we had like an episode or two where we talked about like, sexist tropes and lack of female representation, and we did kind of dive more into that. But then we also did like episodes where we just like talked about Labyrinth and, had some other, fun one-offs and such.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It was a good time. I didn't know anything about podcasts back then. I listen to so many podcasts now, and I'm like, oh my God, what was 24-year-old me doing? Like, we didn't have an intro or an outro. It was just us rambling for like an hour, and it was a lot of fun. I actually talked with Anthony about it recently, and he said that he remembered it being very charming, which I thought
was charming. At the time, the Muppet Cast was still going on.
Oh, I forgot about Muppet Cast. Yeah,
we were always a little jealous just that they were doing this podcast and we weren't. But we also knew that we didn't have the bandwidth, especially at the time. We didn't have the bandwidth to like run Tough Pigs and do a podcast. Mm-hmm. And when we found out that you and Laura were considering doing one, I remember reaching out to you two and saying, "Hey, here's an idea. What if you just call it a Tough Pigs podcast?
Yeah.
We'll post it on the site. We'll help promote it. And, we won't say anything about the editorial or commentary, whatever. You just do whatever you want to do. And like the trade-off being, hopefully we can help you get some extra listeners and you can provide us with a podcast that would live under the Tough Pigs umbrella."
Totally.
So it worked really well for, as long as you guys were willing to do it.
Yeah, I think we went for about 2 years, and we have like a little over 20 episodes. I think like going back, I wish there was so much that I had known. Like, we eventually weren't great about sticking with a recording schedule, and that's kind of an important thing with podcasts, that you have a regular, release schedule to
these days for sure. Well, now that like there's more podcasts and more people are making podcasts,
mm-hmm.
and, we have a much clearer idea of how people listen. And I think people expect a weekly thing, or they expect things to be like a certain length or a certain tone or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We just had no idea back then.
Yeah, I know for me, like, if one of my podcasts, like, it's, it's a Tuesday and I'm expecting a podcast to come out and it's the end of the day and it still hasn't been released, I'm like, what's wrong? Did something go bad? Are they okay? And
Is it a holiday? Did I forget?
Yeah. And I do think people were a little bit more lax about it back in the day. We especially were. But, I think overall it was like it was very good ambition and it was a lot of fun. But maybe like a little bit more structure to it would have helped it run a little smoother,
Well, if you ever want to do more episodes, we will toss it here on this channel.
Me and Laura have been like had people message us before being like, "Are y'all gonna come back?" And we're like, "Never say never," I guess. So maybe someday, maybe we'll just like they'll occasionally, if like something big happens, we'll just
right.
We still have the feed, and so we could always just drop an episode, but who knows? Never say never.
I mean, I will say, like you said, this fandom for some reason is dominated by mostly men, and as people will see on this season that we're doing, ToughPigs at 20, it's almost entirely men, and I hate that personally. Like I think it's not a good visual for us. I feel like it limits us with our voice. I always tell people, like I encourage, if there are female or non-binary or otherwise non-male diverse voices that want to write about Muppets, please reach out to me. And we've published a few people, which has been terrific. But to have a podcast that's like where the specific goal is, this is female fans coming from their perspective, which is something that I can't do. I think that would be, exciting, especially now that you guys, so much more, more about Muppets, more about how to do commentary, more about how to edit,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. And I've known, like, I've recognized over the years that, I am one of a few who writes for ToughPigs on a pretty regular basis. It's me and Stacy. Stacy's a somewhat regular writer, contributor.
Yeah, Stacy contributes. She writes. But she contributes in many ways.
Yes.
This is Ryan's wife, Stacy Rosen. She does a lot of work for us and behind the scenes. But yes, you are our main female identifying writer.
Yes, and that's I think that plays a hand in why I usually want to write on the topic of like the female experience. And I recognize I'm also coming from like I'm a cis queer white woman, and so my perspective is obviously not the perspective of all women out there.
No.
But
and we don't expect you to represent all women by any means.
But also like I know that you guys are open. Like if there were any women or non-binary folks that came through and wanted to write a piece, like I wanted to ask who wrote the piece about Gonzo being a non-binary icon.
Her name is Ren Goetz. I'm so sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing her name. I think it's Goetz.
Yeah,
she wrote to me and told me how to pronounce it, and I of course have completely forgotten.
I'm also asking you on the fly, so
yeah, no, it's totally fine. No, that article is terrific about Gonzo being a non-binary icon.
Which
I just revisited it the other day. Yeah.
Did you see that Vulture linked to that article when they were talking about the newest? I did. Like I googled it because I found out about just a date when this episode is being recorded. The Muppet Babies episode of Gonzo wearing a dress just happened. And I didn't even hear about it from ToughPigs. I was in a Target, and one of my non-binary friends shared it on Instagram, and I was like, wait, what? And I like Googled it, and Vulture was the only article that had covered it. And then at the very end, they were like, Gonzo's been linked to being a non-binary icon before, and I clicked the link, and it took me to ToughPigs, and I was like, yes,
Ooh,
on the ground floor.
Yeah, right. Oh, I love it. I love when stuff like that happens.
Yeah. But
someone out there is reading us.
Yes, definitely. But so I know that obviously y'all are very open and welcoming to if, people from all different, walks of life want to write. But
yes. And I hope that you don't feel that we are ever tokenizing you.
No. I've never felt that way. When you reached out asking me to write, like if I wanted to take the Steve piece, like way back in when was it? 2014? What did we say? 2012. Jesus. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so old.
Tell me about it. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary, Julia.
That's fair. But yeah, when you reached out asking me if I wanted to take that piece and put it on the site, and then also, encouraged me if I had any other ideas or if, ideas were thrown out and I wanted to grab one. I never felt like it was because I was a girl. It was because, I've always had a passion for writing. I'm a poet, so I have some skill level when it comes to writing pieces. And then also I'm enthusiastic about sharing my thoughts and opinions on the Muppets. So, yeah,
Great. I'm very glad to hear that. I try very hard to not, tokenize, not take advantage, not, it's always a tricky balance, and it's something that I hope I never forget. but we do like having you around because you are knowledgeable about Muppets. You're a great writer. You're fun to be around, and you also happen to have a great perspective about writing about women.
Yeah.
So Julia, let me ask you another question because we're on a podcast.
Go
That's
for it.
What we do. What do you think would be the ideal Muppet project for what they should do next? Like pie in the sky, like something that will keep them in the zeitgeist forever and ever.
Oh, geez. I mean, I'm tempted to say, when did Muppets Most Wanted came out? Back in 2014, didn't it?
I'm terrible about dates, but that sounds right.
I think so. It came out when I was in New Zealand, so that's how I'm tracking
yes.
it. Because I maybe had to watch it in a not legal way because I was broke in another country, and I don't even think it was in that country yet. Yes.
Oh, shame.
Anyway, so I mean, it's been, like 7 years since a feature film came out, and obviously I don't think that's the longest we've gone without a feature film. It's not. It definitely isn't. But I would love to see another movie, especially because it has been so long, and so maybe the push of getting folks excited to go see it, in theaters, which, if fingers crossed, if it's safe in the future to go to theaters. I would love to see another feature film, because we've seen a couple TV projects, and I have enjoyed. I think I'm on the end of the people who did really thoroughly enjoy the 2015 sitcom. And I'm bummed that it didn't get the second season. But yeah, I feel, because that was like, I guess Muppets Now is their latest big thing, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess a film. I don't know. This is like something I feel like I'd have to like sit and think on it for so long about what my dream Muppet project would be.
Yeah. Well, we're not really even talking about a dream project. We're talking about like the next thing, which I agree. I think a Muppet movie would be, well, obviously it would be great. But
been long enough, we just got Muppets Now in the last year. I know we're getting the Muppet Halloween special this year, aren't we? Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Which is, I'm very excited to see. And yeah, then a film would be really cool.
Yes, I completely agree. I would love to see the Muppets do something that was big and big budgeted again.
Yes.
It feels like it's been a very long time, and with them focusing on TV, a part of me wonders if we're ever gonna. I mean, I'm sure we will, but like, part of me does wonder if we're ever gonna get like big time movie Muppets again.
Absolutely, yeah. It would be really nice, and I don't know. I feel like there would be a lot to be excited about if they made another movie, and. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's.
No, I'm 100% there with you. So, Julia, tell me, where can people find you on the internet?
Where can people find me on the internet? Most places my handle is @GeekGirlGrownUp. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, although I don't really use Twitter that often, except usually to rant about something nerdy. But
Great.
I guess
I think that's exactly what people want to see.
It's never a bad thing.
No.
Sometimes to get the news, but then I typically don't post about the news. There's too many people doing that. I write for ToughPigs, and so people can find me there. And I don't know, I've got some poetry out in the world. I have some Muppet poetry in the world, so I feel if you Google my name, it's not very hard to find.
And we'll make sure that we post stuff in the show notes as well.
Sure.
For your Muppet-related poetry videos. Well, Julia Gaskill, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here on this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had a great time.
Great. And thank you for all the work you've done with ToughPigs over the years. We are very much looking forward to seeing more from you in the coming years as well.
Me too.
Wonderful. All right. Well, everyone else, thanks for listening. You can follow ToughPigs on social media @ToughPigs, pretty much anywhere that you get your social media. If you like us enough that you want to throw a little bit of money our way, you can find us at patreon.com/ToughPigs and give a little bit and get a little bit in return. In the meantime, thanks for celebrating Tough Pigs' 20th anniversary with us. We'll be back next week with another episode of Tough Pigs at 20. See you then!